Nice to see you.
I think once we get started, we'll have you jump right in to give an overview of Calm and the best ways to donate as well.
Do you want me to jump in?
What?
I want to wait for.
Yeah, we just
I want to wait for Naughty really quick. I know we're waiting on.
Sounds good.
Her. Yeah, maybe like 5 more minutes, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Christy. Hi. Where are you?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Mom,
Who are you talking to? Me? Your mom?
Yeah, Mom,
Yes,
where's your video?
My mother. Where's your picture?
What do I do? Do I push this plus button?
Oh no.
I don't know. A video button?
It's the key. See?
Now everybody knows.
How come I don't have a picture?
Understand how technology works.
Casey, tell Grandma how to work.
You know how it looks
Is there a video button?
On the bottom left, there should be like a little video icon, and you press it.
There's Tammy.
Oh, I see it.
Tammy, that's you. Hi.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am.
Sorry, I couldn't
I
help
wanna
too
see
much
Sarah.
with all the invoices. I needed to go get prepared, but thank you.
You're more prepared than I am, for sure.
What's that?
You're much more prepared than I am. I have things in bags here. I have to set everything up.
Well, yeah, you've like been totally helping us out for.
I know, I'm doing other things, so.
Totally. Are you gonna do some cooking though? Oh, I think Naughty's here now too. There's Naughty.
I got to meet Truman today. He was really, really nice.
Did
Hi,
you
Tammy.
you got your tea? Yay.
Yeah, let's see. I can't wait to try it later.
Well, we can do that right away, but
Yeah. All right, let's get started. So first of all, if you don't have a question while you're cooking, we do ask that if you guys mute, that would be great. We don't get a lot of feedback noise just from everything going on in the house around you. But we are because we are a virtual-based community raising awareness and inspiring people to co-create, connect, and nurture globally. So this week we have Sarah. She's going to be teaching us how to use food as medicine. The cause that she selected this week is Calm Santa Barbara. And with that, we have Alana Walshak, one of the CEO, and is going to speak a little bit about Calm.
should we have Alana speak now?
So I'm having tremendous technical difficulties. So can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everyone else hear Alana?
Do I have video yet, or is
You
it?
have video, yep.
So I can try to talk, and I'm worried that I'm going to lose the connection. It keeps kicking me out and then rebooting me. So my apologies.
We do the best.
So I can't see any of you yet. It doesn't give me any video, but you can hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, and is this a good time for me to start? I was in and out.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit about Calm and how to donate.
You got it. You got it. So, as was said, my name is Elena Walzak. I'm the CEO of Calm. And I've had the honor of being able to serve in this role for almost 5 years now. And Calm is a Santa Barbara County nonprofit agency serving. We have our headquarters in Santa Barbara. We also have offices in Santa Maria and Long Beach. And our mission is to prevent childhood trauma, to heal children and families, and to build resilient communities. And so we're working on all issues of trauma that children and families might face. So this includes emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, as well as emotional and physical neglect. But it also might be kiddos living in households where there's domestic violence, or a parent with a substance abuse disorder or a mental illness, or who's incarcerated, or if there's a death of a parent, any kind of separation between parent and child or caregiver and child. And we do a lot of prevention work as well as therapeutic interventions and counseling services. Right now, obviously, while we're all experiencing probably the biggest global trauma of our lifetimes with this corona pandemic, we've pivoted all of our services to HIPAA compliant telehealth. So we're still seeing children and families, and we're working with little ones, like 3-year-olds, doing Zoom therapy, which is just amazing that my therapists have figured out how to do that. It's just been a privilege to watch them in action, and so feel very grateful for Sarah for picking us for this tonight, because as you can imagine, during this pandemic, when families are sheltering in place, Calm's existed for 50 years because we know that every home isn't safe for all children in the best of times. But in the midst of a pandemic, when there are such tremendous fears and anxieties and stressors and people losing jobs and families that have pre-existing tensions and now they're all sheltering in place, we know that this time right now for children is very dangerous. Reports of child abuse actually have gone down, but that, quite frankly, is simply because typical eyes that are on children in schools or preschools, that's not happening right now. So the folks that normally can track what's going on for children aren't seeing those kiddos. So when things reopen, we're preparing for a surge of need. So we're doing our best to manage the clients that we're serving now, but we're anticipating a great increase in mental health support needs for children and families going forward. So I just really feel honored that you all are here tonight to cook together, because during this pandemic, when we've all had to isolate, it's so important that we're remaining connected. And for those of us that are parents, if we're working and juggling, it's a lot. So if cooking is your thing, I'm so glad you're taking the time to do this, to build in self-care for yourselves, because it's so critically important that we remain healthy and strong during all of this. So I'm happy to say more, but I don't want to take away from your time, Sarah, introducing. And if anyone on this call does want to learn more about Calm or make a contribution, the easiest way is to go to our website, which is calmforkids.org. It's calm, CALM, the number 4 kids, KIDS.org. And there are a bunch of different tabs so that you can do a deep dive on any of our programs. We work, as I was mentioning, in preschools and schools. We also do therapeutic services in our offices. We also partner with law enforcement. We partner with the foster care system. So there's a lot of information about our work. There's also a lot of resources right now during COVID for parents of parenting tips and strategies and all sorts of resources that might be useful. And of course, there's also a donate button. So if you're so motivated, that's probably the best way to make that happen. So was that good? Are you?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fabulous.
Share?
Thank you so much, Alana. Thank you. It's such a privilege to be able to represent Calm. I love what you guys are doing, and it's an organization close to my heart. So thank you. Should we start cooking? And welcome to, there's a few more that have joined us. It's so nice to see. If you want to turn your video on, it's fun to see faces. Hi, Daria. Linda, are you on there?
Nancy.
I'm here. I just blocked myself out.
There you are. It's so good to see you. Thank you all for joining. So we are going to do, when Truman and Belle asked me to do this, I thought, gosh, there's so much going on in the world right now, and there's so much that we can talk about in relation to food as medicine. It's really endless, so you just have to, go with something. I decided it'd be fun to put an apron on because I never wear an apron, but I'm going to do it. What's up?
Real quick, just a side note, if you don't have a question, can you please mute?
Oh, do the muting,
It's in the bottom left-hand corner. Then we won't get so much feedback. We can just focus right on Sarah. Thank you.
So I'm a big fan of vegetables anyway. Vegetables, I feel like they're so filled with water. Our bodies are filled with water. If we drink the recommended water amounts, we're usually running to the toilet like way too much. whereas our vegetables have so much water in it and so much fiber to help keep our organs all really happy and healthy. And with COVID and now all of this rioting, there's been a lot of heightened emotions around sort of the more negative side, like some anger and frustrations. And I'm not ever one that thinks that that's bad. I think anger is like one of our greatest messengers to tell us where our boundaries are or something that's not right that we need to bring attention to within ourselves or outside of ourselves. So I don't have a problem with that, but when people have been quiet for so long, I feel like there we go, here we are with this rioting now, and there's all this anger. So I thought, okay, let's focus on foods that will help raise the serotonin and release any stagnation in the body, particularly through the liver. So let's start with, for some of you who got my little pouches of roasted dandelion root tea, there should be enough. I'm just walking away to grab mine, but I'm right back. We can just start by filling up our cute little garden tea bowl with probably just like a half a teaspoon. It's really strong. So the amount that I sent you, you probably have several cups worth. And you can just pop the ball back on. The balls were completely washed. The ball jars are washed as well for those who got that. And I thought if you wanted, you could use the ball jar for the tea. And then if you have some water that you can steam, you can go ahead and do that. I'm cheating. I've got this amazing oxygenated water machine from the local company, Aphora, here. So my tea's done, but if you guys want to get your tea kettle or anything going, it'll be a fun drink. So the reason I chose roasted dandelion root tea is that it removes stagnation from the liver, and the liver is where a lot of emotions get stuck and a lot of just anything that's been hard to digest, whether it's food that we're ingesting or pollutants in the environment or just like toxic mental patterns and thoughts. So that's why I went for that today rather than more alcohol. And I just thought I would mix it up and bring a different, because that's what I do. And already, did you guys start? I've got my sweet potato in the oven. Does everybody have their sweet potato in the oven who's cooking? Do we need to review how to bake a sweet potato? I'm going to take that as a no.
Yes. Yes, please, for me, sorry.
Yes, so all I did, Nati, for me, baking sweet potato or any potato, and I think I heard you say it on your call, I find that I just personally scrub the skin because I like the skin as like a container, but some people like to just peel it off. But it's your preference what you like to do. If you just scrub it, you do need to fork it several times. And I just, Truman, could you bring a camera over here? I put it into one of my dishes with just some parchment paper because it starts to bleed a little bit. You'll see under this sweet potato here, a bit of the juice of the sweet potatoes coming out. And it just kind of holds it. I don't like to use the traditional way of using tin foil or aluminum, because it's like a toxic metal release that goes into your body then.
And what was your temperature, sorry, on the oven?
The temperature I put at 400. But
400.
I play around. It depends on the oven. So this oven gets pretty hot, so you could do baking potatoes around 425 depending on what your oven temperature is like. Sometimes I do 375 if I'm using some of these ovens that just seem to be set at 100 degrees hotter than normal. So that's the sweet potato. We can just let that go ahead and bake there. The next thing to get going on, has everybody prepared their vegetables, like cleaned and peeled and stuff? I've got the cauliflower washed and the carrots. I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting the carrots up. I have this carrot, isn't this really funny? It just is like a pointer here. But I'm just gonna start, let me move some of these bowls so that you can see. But I like to shave around as if it's like a pencil. Just kind of shaving the carrot. I do this with any vegetables that are like stick form. That I'm gonna end up steaming. And that's what we're gonna end up doing here. We're gonna end up steaming the carrots and then adding the cauliflower so that we can make this sort of stew with it. But we just need to chop up these carrots and then we're gonna get them going into this pot. And I have a rather large pot. I don't need one this big, but something that is big enough because I have about 8 carrots here and a small medium head of cauliflower. And the idea is that you don't want the carrots and the cauliflower to fill up the whole pot because it just doesn't steam as nicely, and we're going to end up kind of gently mashing it as well. So it's better to have more surface area, but we don't want a frying pan because we're not really sauteing. So we want to start with a steam. So that's the kind of pot choice that I would go for. And then we just gotta do our pencil sharpening. And the carrots are like, our legs, right? So our carrots just root us to the ground and keep us strong. And of course they're filled with all that beta carotene as well. And lots of minerals. And they're also this monochain root vegetable, which is really nice, whereas a sweet potato is a dual chain. So the monochain it's just much more easy to digest. So if you do have any digestion issues, or if you're looking to lose weight, you wouldn't want to go for something that's more complex, like a dual chain. And if your digestion is just something that's tricky for you, the monochain is just that much easier. It doesn't, your body has less to work with inside. The same goes for if you're struggling with issues around candida or any sort of yeast. The monochain, your body just is able to digest without any sort of candida globbing on and joining with it and spreading. But we're using carrots today because they're our legs. And we want to be rooted to this ground so that we can bring about positive changes with everything that is going on. And in order to do that, we have to be fully present. So I've got my carrots in my pot now, and I'm going to go ahead and put just probably, I'm going to cover them with water. I'm just going to just cover them. I'm not going to go too high here. Okay, so can I, just so I can show, here we go. So it's just covered, see? So they can swim, but they're not being completely brown. And I'm just gonna pop it onto some high heat. And I'm gonna go ahead and get some salt. I like to use this Premier Research Labs or any salt that hasn't been stripped of its iodine and iodine. So this salt would have its full 72 trace minerals. So this salt would be like a total rehydrant and something that supports your bone health because your magnesium and your calcium receptors can connect when you have a real salt versus a salt that's been stripped of its minerals, including iodine and iodide, which keeps our thyroid really happy. And I'll pop the lid on just to get it going here. Carrots take longer to cook than the cauliflower. And then with my cauliflower, I'm just gonna cut it up a bit more because the idea of the stew is that it's just gonna be kind of, do you know, a good way to think about it is like, I like to do these sort of English mashes. So it's kind of chunky. It's not really, because we don't wanna overcook anything, right? So the more I can cut down this cauliflower now, not too much, but enough so that we can just get it steamed without overcooking it and then mash it with a potato masher just slightly when we get to that point. And cauliflower, I mean, cauliflower is just so delicious. And I find when I cook it like this, the kids actually really love this particular dish, by the way. So it's a great way to get lots of vegetables into them. Great way to do any of these sorts of vegetable stewy dishes is if you also make like a pot of rice in like bone broth or something, and then you take this sort of compote, stewy vegetable compote thing, and I don't have like a really fancy name for it, but you just stir it in. So they have this bowl that's filled literally with vegetables and medicine, and they're just having this sort of taste sensation from like the nutritional yeast, which gives like a cheesy flavor. And if you cook it in the bone broth, the rice, or even on pasta, I will cook in bone broth. It just gives, the kids can feel the sort of mineral satisfaction. So I find it's a great way and an easy way to get the kids eating a lot of vegetables. Okay, I've got this done, but we're going to take a pause because I want the carrots to get a little bit more just heat on them. And also my water, again, I used the boiling water option on my water, so mine will probably cook a little bit more quickly unless you'd already had steamed water ready. So there is that. And then we can take our attention, I need another cutting board. We can take our attention over to getting ready for this pesto, which is another way that I love to trick my kids into eating tons and tons of vegetables, mostly in the form of herbs and lots of raw onion and garlic without them knowing. And this is something else that no matter how I do it, I end up stirring it in. I'm a big fan of bowl food where, you know, they don't just have the steak and the potato and the broccoli like the old-fashioned way. That's fun sometimes, I guess, but I like bowl food because all of the flavors of the vegetables and the herbs and the spices together, it's just so, I think, so tantalizing. And I've seen it work for my family. Like, my kids might tell me they don't like a certain vegetable, but I'm going, oh, well, you kind of eat it all the time. So.
Lisa Roman just joined.
Yay! Lisa, is that you? I don't know if she can hear there.
Hey, everyone's muted.
Oh. Is that what's going on?
There you go, get you.
That's why it's so quiet.
You don't get feedback that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start cutting this onion. But, ooh, this onion isn't a very happy onion. So I'm actually going to throw this onion out. And thankfully, I have many other onions. That's funny. When I grabbed that onion earlier, I had a feeling it wasn't a very happy onion.
Can I help you at all?
They're just stuck in there. There we go. This one feels happier. Okay. But that's a good, I mean, onion for me is kind of a staple with pestos. Not that you use that much of it, because a little bit goes a long way. But my feeling and approach to cooking isn't very precise in general. Incidentally, I'm not a very fabulous baker because I don't do measurements all so well. I also don't do well with recipes. So even if you're looking at what I cook for you, but you go, well, I don't have that, or I don't like that. I really welcome you to always look at any recipe that way and just change it per your taste, because often, unless you're eating McDonald's all the time and you have sort of a junk food diet, your body is usually tuned in and pretty aware of what its needs are, and it just takes a courageous person to trust that instead of listening to fads and trends, and just listen to exactly what your body needs. So I end up cooking with what I have versus stressing myself out running around. For example, for some reason I've had the most beautiful carrot tops for like the last month. Couldn't find any decent carrot tops. So in my pesto today, I'm using parsley with cilantro, even though I'd used carrot tops in the recipe that Truman sent you. I took about a third of the onion and I'm gonna pop it into my food processor. And I've already washed up the cilantro and parsley. I'm gonna make a lot of the pesto because I always make large batch because I end up using it for everything for the next few days with all my kids' foods and all of my foods because it serves as a dip or something you could then marinate chicken in or stir into your kids' rice dishes or anything. So I do a pretty large batch. And you see I used 1/3 of an onion for 2 heads of cilantro and 1 bunch of fresh parsley. So again, the onion, it really does go a long way, especially if you want to trick your kids.
What are the health significance of cilantro and parsley?
Cilantro eliminates metal, like toxic metals from vaccines, from the environment, from just this exposure, quite frankly, from Zoom as well. It eradicates your body of toxic metal exposure, and parsley is a great conductor for allowing your body to absorb things like vitamin K. And they just taste fabulous and they're really yummy together. And you can do it in so many different ways. The same thing, like I said, about the using what you have. Oh, pause that thought because we have to pay attention now to the carrots. Carrots are boiling and turning the water a happy sort of yellowy orange. And I'm going to add in the cauliflower. I'm just going to scoop it in. Okay. I'm going to give that a stir. And use my little happy guy. Let's get that mixed in there. This I'm going to let it go for probably about 7 minutes here. And I'm going to cover it up, but I've turned the heat down to medium. So you don't need it to be raging and boiling. But we just wanted to get that heat into the cauliflower now. But back to the pesto. So the pesto, it doesn't matter what nuts or seeds you use. It matters what works for you. I have a sort of tricky situation here. My son's anaphylactic to peanuts, which isn't even a nut, it's a legume, so I would never use anything like that anyway. My husband has sensitivity to basically every, well, hazelnuts, Brazil nuts, walnuts, pecans. So I don't really use those because that wouldn't be very kind. But I love walnuts and pecans, that said. So I often make myself a batch and then I'll use like cashew or macadamia or something for him. But pumpkin seeds are one of my favorite. But I ran out of pumpkin seeds. And I've been really lately, the last 2 days, wanting almonds, which I usually never use because almonds are so overused and I just, you know, it's like going to a restaurant and trying to avoid, I don't know avoid carbohydrates. Sometimes that's just not easy. Almonds seem to be everywhere because it's such a healthy, like a considered health food option. Where I love almonds, but also I don't believe we need to eat so many almonds. Because they do have carcinogenic effects when you overeat them. So, but we're not going to overeat them here. So anyway, today I'm using almonds, which are great for absorbing calcium, for building calcium and bone density. They're really a brilliant source, actually. And that'll go great with the parsley. Maybe that's why I'm craving this. So that's what I mean. Always go with your gut instinct about cooking too. What is it that you're desiring? So I'm going to pour in, because I don't measure, I'm going to pour in probably about, what is that? Maybe about a cup?
About a cup.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go for a healthy dose of sea salt, but because it's real salt, I find I just don't need to use like a lot of recipes would say like a teaspoon. I find that something like a half a teaspoon is more than enough for something like this because it just has a much, it's almost like the difference of when you get real seaweed that's been packed properly so it has all the salt from the sea still on it. It just has a much richer salt sort of flavor.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you put your parsley and cilantros with the stems or did you just take the flowers out, like the actual leaves?
No, I do the stems. I used to painstakingly pick off each one, but the stems are packed with nutrients. I cut off like the end, and as I'm washing, I go through to take out any just not so happy looking ones.
Okay. And then you put a half a teaspoon or so of nutritional yeast, and that's it. So,
no, sorry, that was salt. I haven't used nutritional yeast yet.
Okay. Okay, I'm in speed right now.
Cool. We can go for the lemon now for the pesto. I like to, squeeze it, get it all juicy inside, roll it around, push my hand on it, and then give it a cut. It's also really nice when the smell just gets really released. And we're going to use the juice of a full lemon into the pesto. So we're kind of, sorry Nati, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the carrot cauliflower and the pesto here. And I'm going to pour the lemon into the pesto. One of the things with the pesto is you can go ahead and add a healthy fat of your choice, whether you want to put avocado oil or olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut, even sometimes ghee. I wouldn't recommend ghee for this one, but ghee can be really nice, especially when you're using carrot tops. But lately I haven't been feeling to use the olive oil. I've just been using the nice fat from the nuts. But again, that's just something where it's just been something that I've been going with instinctively, and that seems to be working right now for me and my family. But I'm not opposed to you adding a healthy oil if that's what's right for you right now. I just crushed 2 cloves of garlic to add in there, and just a little bit actually about the garlic. I always like to use fresh pressed garlic. I don't like pre-prepared, because that Allison count of the garlic drops the minute you prepare it, and the benefits that it has for your health just start to decrease. So the Allison count at its highest 1 to 2 minutes after you squash it open. So I'm one of those people that chews on a raw garlic every morning, and I've done it for years and it seems to work. It helps me a lot. But that's the trick with the garlic. So I wouldn't go get all excited on a Sunday and prep, 3 bulbs of garlic so that you can just start using them through the week, because you're actually taking the health away from the health-giving properties away, the antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, which it's like nature's antibiotic right here for us. So I would just squash that in the moment. And same with the onion. The onion fresh cut is your highest source of vitamin C compared to anything else. So those are just a few medicinal aspects about what's in the pesto. I'm gonna give this a blitz. It's gonna be a bit loud, but it'll just be a minute here. And while that's going, I'm gonna look over here and take a lid off. And I just turn the heat right down to simmer. Because now I'm going to start dressing this up. I'm going to add, so first I'm going to drain off the water. Back to that. I'm going to drain off the water. So you don't want any water in here, but you don't have to be, getting it through a pasta strainer or anything. Just kind of shake it out. And a little bit in there is fine. And I'm just going to put it back, and I've got the heat on simmer now. I'm taking this off. And I just flatten this out. And we can start by taking, I like to use this combination for this, the ghee with the coconut oil. I find the ghee is just really grounding and earthing and great for the nervous system. The coconut oil has its antiviral and antifungal properties as well. And just a beautiful, rich, robust flavor that's really supportive of increasing your metabolism and your immunity, and the flavor profile along with kind of like cilantro and coconut are known for increasing your appetite, but in a positive way, not like a junk food way. It just increases your healthy appetite, we can say that. So then I'm just gonna stir this in so that it gets melted up in here. So all the vegetables are coated.
Did you put just about a tablespoon of coconut?
I probably put 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in and probably 1 or 2 of ghee. Again, I'm not very great at measuring. But if you look at the pot, it's kind of like the same idea as a soup, Nati, you know? It seems like a lot, but there's a lot of vegetable in there, so that's probably gonna serve, that's probably 6 servings in there as well, maybe even more depending on the person.
Here, we're using some coconut.
And it's totally digestible, and it's great for your brain and our nervous system, and it increases the happiness, the serotonin. I'm going to take my salt again for this dish, and again I'm just going to do about a half a teaspoon. I just shake it out into my hand and I blend it in there.
Sorry.
Who said sorry? Sorry? Sorry,
Oh, sorry, I thought you asked me something.
No. This is my turmeric. Do you know the brand of turmeric that I really love? Is this same one that is the roasted dandelion roots. And if you guys are interested in it, it's called Star West Botanicals, and they do a great organic line with great turmerics, gingers, roasted dandelion, rhodiola, all sorts of great adaptogen spices and superfoods. I just really like them. So if it's something that you guys enjoy, you might want to check them out. Now for turmeric, I'm going to grab a teaspoon, because for turmeric, I think it can be really upsetting if you get too much turmeric. Turmeric's really powerful and strong, and it's a great anti-inflammatory agent, like a lot of people know today, great for people who have allergies or any sort of inflammation. It has to be heated. It has to be heated up in order for it to have any sort of release of its anti-inflammatory property. A lot of raw vegans will choose to combine it with pepper. That might be, I find that counterproductive personally, because pepper has mold around it. So this would be something that might be difficult for people that have allergies. So like I personally, the only pepper I use is cayenne. Just because I do have a lot of allergies in this house. And incidentally, I'm the only one that eats the cayenne because I can't get my kids to eat that. I'm going to take this garlic powder and I'm going to sprinkle in the garlic powder. I just sprinkle. And a lot of this stuff you're going to end up going back and you're going to see your taste profile and you're going to see what you want to add more of. I've got some dried parsley and I'm going to add the dried parsley. I like to take the sprinkle top right off because I'll probably end up putting a good tablespoon in. Thanks, Truman. And then, Nati, I'm going to grab the nutritional yeast, and this one you can, I don't know which nutritional yeast you're using. I do like this pour one from Bragg's. So you've got the pour side or you've got the spoon side. And this my kids just love. Like if they were in here and I'm cooking, this is the part where it would become possibly too much nutritional yeast because they love it so much they just pour it in. So what I do is I pour a lot in. You see I'm pouring a lot in. And then I leave it on the table and they mound it on. But that's a lot nicer than, you know, them mounding on a pound of cheese or something. And now I'm gonna go ahead, right? And now I've got this, what is it, potato masher. And you see I'm just kind of pressing it here. And it's
Hey, Sarah, I have a question. If you don't have dried parsley, what do you use?
Do you have, what dried herbs do you have, love?
Lots, but I don't have dried parsley.
Do Do you have dried cilantro?
Coriander?
Yep, that would be a nice one. For you guys, it might be nice to add a bit of ginger and cilantro, maybe even a dash of cumin.
Okay.
Those would be really nice for the hay fevery stuff that goes on over there. And then I'm just going to actually use it to kind of stir around. So you see, it's like chunky, but none of the vegetables have been overcooked. And that's kind of what we're going for here. And we can just press a little bit more.
Did you remove yours from the heat, or are you still keeping it on the heat while you mash it?
It's still on the heat, but I was just going to turn it off. You must have been reading my mind. I was just going to reach down and turn it off. Because also this pot that I'm using is a La Creuset. Forgive me for pronouncing that incorrectly. My French is terrible. So the heat, it just keeps cooking. So with these ones, it's better to err on the side of under cooking.
And did you throw some of your liquid? Because it seems like I have more liquid now from the vegetables. So should I dump it and have no?
Well, I'd strained off the water.
Okay.
And then I added the ghee and the coconut oil. Had you strained off the water?
I have yet to do so.
Ah, okay, yeah. So strain off the water, and then you can add in your fats. Coconut oil and ghee is what I used. I just like the combination. I put in dried parsley, some garlic salt, turmeric, for nutritional yeast. When I take it completely off the heat is when I add probably juice of half a lemon and maybe about a tablespoon of Bragg's apple cider vinegar. I don't like to put that in when it's on the heat. It's kind of, especially Bragg's apple cider vinegar, it's sort of like honey. Once you cook it, it loses its benefits to you. So Bragg's apple cider vinegar with the mother, it's raw. This is actually like a probiotic in your body. And when you cook it, you kill off the health-giving benefits of having it. And also last week, Karen's not on the call today because she couldn't join, but she asked a great question about vinegar and stripping magnesium from your bones. And one of the reasons I don't use any vinegar other than apple cider vinegar is because of that, but I didn't want to answer her until I just went back and double-checked my work. And apple cider vinegar does not strip your bones from magnesium. This is like a probiotic. If you want to drink like a half a bottle, you might have some problems, but I don't know why anybody would want to drink a half a bottle. But just straight vinegar that they use, unfortunately, to preserve foods, this creates insulin resistance. It does strip your body of essential minerals and nutrients that your body's needing in order for your organs to work and be happy and your brain to sing. So I just wanted to point that out. So these things, though, I always add off the heat because I don't want to kill off the goodness. So I'm just gonna squeeze this lemon in. But first, I added my potatoes a while ago. So I'm just gonna turn the heat off and I can leave them there. But my potatoes are done. And I'm gonna juice half of this lemon. And I'm like with the pulp person, so I scrape that bit of pulp down there. And this I just, because I don't really measure, but that's like a tablespoon. And then I'm just going to use this to mix it around, because I can kind of just scoop it around here and scrape up the sides with this. So this dish is done. The potatoes are done. I need to keep blending the pesto, but I wanted to point out with the pesto that I had ginger on the list. You can put about a thumb of ginger in. I chose not to today because I just am not feeling it. But ginger is great to put into your pestos. It's great for creating heat in your body. It's great for digestion. It's great for just giving, like if you have any sort of cold conditions, it's just great for allowing the cold conditions to leave your body, whether it's through a cold or whether it's through being frail, whether it's through having some sort of candida, something that's just not in balance. So ginger is great, but if you tend to be a really hot person, ginger is not something that you probably really need any more of in your life. So I take a lot of ginger. I think I'm not feeling it because I pressed a lot of ginger fresh earlier and drank, my shot of fresh ginger because I was feeling cold. So I don't know that I'm feeling it right now. Before I go any further, does anybody have any questions? Because I've just talked a lot about a lot of different foods and a few different dishes that we're going to combine now. Hi, Jones. Hi.
Yeah, Jones just wants to say he's really enjoying this and he's been shopping this whole time.
Jones, it's so cool. I can't wait to cook with you, Jones.
So I'm a little behind because I have read the veggies. Could you just, and I'm gonna write it so that I keep up. Could you just repeat the pesto process really quickly, Lo?
Yeah, but Truman's holding the screen, so let's just put it down so Truman doesn't have to hold the screen.
Oh no, I don't care.
So the pesto, today, Daria, used 2 heads of cilantro, which is kind of my base in general, because I feel like we always, with all the EMF energy running nonstop these days, especially now with COVID and being home and we're doing, this beautiful opportunity has been created, but we are exposing ourselves to EMF. So cilantro helps us just keep that metal toxification moving and away. So there's 2 bunches there. There's a bunch of parsley, but you don't have to use anything. You could use parsley, you could use carrot tops like I've written on. There's so many different options. Sometimes I steam a head of broccoli and put that in there. Sometimes I put fresh kale in there because then the kale gets all massaged, so you don't need to worry about it being raw. So really it's what you are feeling is right for you. I put about 1/3 of a red onion in there, 2 cloves of garlic, juice of 1 fresh lemon. I added in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and today I chose not to use olive oil. I usually would use some sort of healthy fat oil, but I just am not feeling it. And I've added about 1 cup of raw activated almonds today. But again, you can use any nut and seed and combination. Like one of my favorite combinations is walnuts with pumpkin seeds. I personally love that. My husband hates that, but so you just can play around.
Hey.
Where are you?
She's calling you out, Martin.
It's all about trusting what you like, trusting your taste buds, trusting your body.
What are some of the benefits, like the parsley versus the carrot tops versus the broccoli versus the basil? Not kind of knowing all of the properties for health of those. What do each of those, like why would you choose one for a healthy reason versus another?
Well, basil is always great if you have mold allergies. Basil is antifungal. Basil I don't personally find is really nice with cilantro unless you're using like a Thai basil, which is also antifungal. Parsley is like our vitamin K herb, which allows us to absorb vitamin K, which then thus allows you to absorb your vitamin D3, and then your calcium and magnesium channels can connect. What else did you say? Cilantro is to strip out toxic metals. It's a heavy metal release. Did you ask another one? I could go on. Kale. Kale is, carrot tops. Those are the things that are great for your eyes rather than the carrots. The carrot tops are like our little garden friends of allowing our eyesight to just be happy, especially now. I think that's why I've been using a lot of carrot tops, because I'm not used to being on the computer a lot, and I've had to be on the computer more, and I've had to resort to wearing those like amber glasses sometimes too. So that's the carrot tops. Kale, sometimes it's just a nice way to hide more greens that are leafy and hard for your kids to eat on their own. Sometimes though I like to do kale chips, which the kid loves, when you just wash them and pop them in the oven with a drizzle of olive oil, and I love to use what's their favorite? The scamosia, which is called sesame seeds. This one has got dulse, like a wild seaweed, nori and kumbu
Nice.
in it, and the kids just, I mean, I get them eating 2 or 3 heads of kale just like that. But if I want them to get kale in another form, I might put it in here. Broccoli, I do that because I really like it, but my kids will eat a head of broccoli. I mean, this is the household where both of my kids will take a raw broccoli out of my grocery bag and start eating it, and I have to go, hey, let me check for caterpillars. So, but I just like broccoli, and broccoli is a superfood. It's filled with calcium. It's filled with so many yummy minerals for our body. So why not? I just do what I feel is right in the moment. Did you get the pesto questions, Daria?
I did. Thank you, love, for going through that again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, darling. Are there any other questions just now? No? Then I'm gonna give this.
I didn't see what you did, how you did the sweet potatoes in the stew. Did you just smash them in?
Oh, no, the sweet potatoes I still have sitting in the oven. I'll pull them out now.
Okay, sorry, I thought I missed it.
No, I had only turned the oven off, but I would pull it out now because I'll show you how I'm gonna put it together, right? I have an array. I've got like the Japanese sweet potato, the yummy sweet potato, and the golden sweet potato. And I just did a bunch because, believe it or not, people in this house have their favorite kind of sweet potato. So I'll just grab this one because it looks really cute. And I'm going to pop it onto a plate here. All right, I'm just taking this out first. So you can pop the potato in a dish that you're going to serve and just take a knife and cut it open. Some people might want to add some butter or something, but I feel like we've used plenty. And then you can just go and I like to take the potato masher as my scooper and just fill up your potato with it. So you might just need about 2 of these scoops, maybe a third one, a small third one. And then I have to give the pesto another blitz. And I think I need to help it out a bit. And then I'm going to scoop on the pesto. I also, in honor of Calm, had placed an order with Duo, and tonight we'll be having it with Duo's chicken. This is part of the Duo More program, which is also supporting for the Calm families. So we have some chicken going on here that I'll pop into the oven. So that will also go with it. And just aside for everybody, Duo do great on portion sizes, so those 2 chicken thighs will very easily serve a family of 4 for just like a regular weekly meal or a weeknight meal. But I need to just stir this up a little bit. Here's this one here to get. Sometimes they just need a bit of help to blend it in. And now we have a bit of noise. There we go. Sometimes it just gets stuck, so we have to give it a little bit of a help. Really good what I just did. But there, okay. The rest of it's blending down now. And then this, I'll just go and put a really healthy dollop on the top because I love this sort of a thing. Yay! We love the Cuisinart. She did it again. me to at least show you guys this top now. Take this dish. So, this is what we end up with. So I've got this pesto on top, and the idea is to get a bite of the pesto with the cauliflower, carrot, and the sweet potato, and you ought to feel incredibly grounded and nurtured and warm yet light and just happy. That's the idea behind this dish. So,
Amazing.
any other questions?
Sarah,
Yeah,
can you
darling.
hear me?
I can hear you, Marika, yeah.
Mark said, do you deliver?
Mark asked if I deliver.
Do you delivery?
I love you guys so much. You're always welcome to come over. I do for people that I really love from time to time.
I've got one real question, actually.
Yeah, what is that, Marika? We're having trouble hearing you. The signal's not too
I've got
great.
one question, Sarah.
Yes.
Okay, you spoke about kale substitute.
Yeah, you can do a kale substitute.
What's that?
What? Marika, sorry, could you try taking your video? Take your video off, and then I think we might be able to hear you better. Are you there, Marika?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, so much better. Yes. So you
Can
said
you hear me, Sarah?
yes, crystal clear now.
Okay. There was something that you showed us that you mentioned if you put kale into the pesto, you can use something else. What was that? I missed it.
I sometimes steam a head of broccoli and put that in, whereas I guess I mentioned steaming broccoli because I feel like raw broccoli is just a little bit too hard on, it's too hard on my system. Some people are okay with it. Whereas kale is a vegetable that should traditionally be cooked in order for your body to absorb it, and the minerals and the health-giving properties. But kale, I find if you want to stand there and massage it for a long time, it's totally fine to make a kale salad like that, or get baby kale raw, or just if you want to put it into a food processor, or if you're using a smoothie, this massages it and crunches it down so much that all of the goodness from the kale is able to be there and readily available to digest and absorb.
Okay, thanks. I think there was also something else that you took out of your cupboard that you mentioned. That's what I was getting confused with, and you said this.
Sorry, I just get excited about food, so I start going all over the place. I pulled out the gamosia because I'll often clean up the kale, and you always take the kale off the stalks. You don't eat the stalks. So you take just the leaves, and then I'll put it on parchment and I'll sprinkle it with a bit of olive oil. And then I like to put that gamosia, which is, your dad will know this, Marika, that holds sesame, and the combination I use has various seaweeds like dulse and kelp and kumbu. So again, just a major whack of minerals, and the kids eat all of them. So instead of eating like a bag of potato chips, they're eating a lot of kale that had been in the oven for maybe like 5 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. Cool.
Sarah, I have a question.
Yeah, Tammy.
So I have some things coming in and out here. So regarding the apple cider vinegar and the lemon, you said you put that on at the ends. What are you putting that on? Did you put
I
it on the veggies? Or?
Put that into the carrot and cauliflower stew.
Oh, you put it into the mix. Okay, when you're ready to serve it right beforehand. Okay,
Yeah, so I
perfect.
took it off the heat. I've got my pot sitting just right here by me now. And when I had it
Okay,
over
sure.
here off the heat, I added about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And it's gotta
Okay.
be raw with the mother.
Okay, perfect. I got
And-
the sitting right here. Good to go.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Thank you.
no, you're welcome.
This is my first cooking class ever. I was never taught to cook, so I'm a virgin, so thank you for being my first. And I have sweet potatoes in the oven. I have no idea how long to cook them for. I put them at the beginning here at 400, and I know I'm way behind the curve. So how long do you cook them for?
No, they should just take about an hour. So you want, I don't know the
Okay.
size of your sweet
Okay.
potatoes, and different types of sweet potatoes, different colors, have different lengths
I
of
got two
time.
different colors just to mix it up, but they're pretty thick. So I think it's probably might be an hour for sure.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
you can take a fork.
Okay, great.
You should be able
Yeah.
to easily fork it for baked potatoes.
You said it.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Well, Tammy already had all the innuendo going, so.
I know, but can't help it. It's true though. I mean, I just never taught me to cook, so this is really exciting for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your support, honey. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
There was one other thing I was going to mention as a possible addition, but with the amount of fiber and the digestibility of this food, it's not something that you would need. Maybe you'd consider if you were adding like animal protein, but to have like a fresh raw kimchi or a good quality, properly fermented sauerkraut could be a good addition just to keep your digestion and your probiotic balance going.